Right into questions like usual.
Let's roll.
Barry, what's a challenge when you have your starting quarterback go out? I imagine as play caller, it's going to be a challenge to adjust, but how do you kind of go about that?
Yeah, I mean it's part of football. It's happened to me before, and you just trust the guy that I've watched the way Art and Ryan, for that matter, prepare during the course of the week. I watch that and see and during practice and meetings, and like I told the guys at halftime on offense. I mean, there's nobody that prepares harder than Art Sitkowski as a two. And there may be some guys that prepare as equally as well as he does, but there's nobody that prepares harder. And every game during pre-practice or pre-game workout, we get in and run some plays with the team, with the twos. And every time he starts, right, this was 30 minutes before kickoff on the field. Hey guys, we're all one play away from being ready to have your opportunity. And this is not lip service for him. So I felt comfortable in light of the way that Art prepares and carries himself, of us continue to play within our game plan.
Mason, as a play caller, how much do you change or not change when you have to go to a different guy there?
Well, I think each guy, obviously, each of those guys has different strengths and weaknesses, and they are different players. But dramatically, not much. It's not dramatically different. It's more subtly different from the game plan. Maybe a certain movement pass or a certain RPO or what may be better for one than the other. But there was the difference was pretty negligible of what we could or couldn't do.
What did you learn about your team as a whole and your offense playing against that type of defense?
Yeah, well, obviously it was an incredible team victory, and I think we all know how our defense carried us in that game, and the way they rose up, and our special teams, and we were a part of that as well. The rushing for 200 yards against Iowa was a big deal. I thought our line and the backs and tight ends and our whole team, the way we played in the run game was, I think really a really good performance in that regard. But I think we saw that we have a gritty team that cares about winning, and not necessarily how it looks. And Coach told us all week that's what it was going to look like, and told us offensively that's what it's going to look like, and he was right. And for us to come out on that side of it was huge.
Coach, is Minnesota similar to what you just faced, and what are some of the differences?
Yeah, they are similar, obviously statistically, and where they are through this point of the season is incredibly impressive for what they've done, the way that they've played defense, and very similar to Iowa from that regard. So where they are statistically, in Wisconsin for that matter, and so there are some similarities from a structure standpoint. But they also do have their nuances and their differences, and so you can watch that come about on film as you get going. So, but another very quality defense in our league that we're facing will be a great challenge for us.
I know, last week you said that, having to kick the field goal at Wisconsin, so you kind of considered your offense 4 or 5
Yeah.
on red zone versions. I guess how do you view Saturday? Just 3 field goals was great, but
Yeah, well, obviously the last one was the great one. That was the good one, and the other two, because that's what we needed at that point. As a field goal. I think we all felt that. That if we get this field goal here, once we got down in that area, that I think that we were, that it was going to be tough for them to go score the way we were playing defensively, and so. But the other two, when we got down there, the first series when we got down there, that was really disappointing that we didn't get 7. We didn't execute very well in that first red zone series when we got inside the 10. We had a couple mistakes that I think that could have given us an opportunity to punch it in. But fortunately they didn't come back to haunt us, but it certainly could have. And the football is about situational football. Moving the football up, and we had a great first drive. We converted on I think 2 4th downs on that first drive, I think, and it was a great long drive. I was like, you could tell we were playing, and then for it to peter out with the field goal was disappointing, obviously. And the situational football is how you win these games, and situational football is the red zone battle, and we came up short in that regard for sure. Did just enough to get it done at the end, but it could have been, the game could have been in control at that point in the game in the 4th quarter if we'd executed better in the red zone.
Knowing that you guys needed a field goal on that last drive, the designed run with Art on 3rd down, was that just to get yourself in a position for favorably for a field goal, and did you think about to Chase and let him do it?
I think at that point in time we didn't want to put the ball in the air. I think that we just didn't want to do that. And just in film study and preparation, through watching them in the red zone, one of the things that had been a repeated theme is when you got an empty, the quarterback draw had been something that had shown up several times. Colorado State scored on it, and so it's kind of a hybrid opportunity maybe for them to get to play coverage and then pop one to make the field goal either A, shorter, or continue to have possession of the ball and get a first down. And so, that was kind of something that I had planned and studied during the course of the week and felt pretty good about when that opportunity came up. So kind of the best of both worlds for us to, run a quarterback draw and spread people out and have a chance to pop the run like we did. I think Art had one earlier. It was basically more or less the same play, but it was not an empty. I think we gained 8 or 9 yards, and so that was my mindset.
Who went wrong on the interception, towards the goal line?
Yeah, that was, inevitably there's always going to be, you as a play caller, you have 70 or 80 play calls during the course of the game. There's always going to be a few that you want back, and I just felt, obviously the ball got tipped, and Art knew that it was us or nobody. That was the mindset. It was us in the low pylon or nobody to try to pop a score there. And I think, obviously in hindsight, that's one that I would like back. We just got a little too compressed over there. That's one that, again, we'd studied and planned for. The ball was on the hash instead of off the hash, and so I didn't put Art in a good situation in that point in time. And the incredible part of that, or not the incredible, but the thing that was so critical was the way our defense, kept them there, and basically flipped it right back around where we kind of just got the chance to start over, and that was obviously the most critical. I thought that part, and then the play that Art hit with Brian really turned the field over. For the field never flipped over in the fourth quarter from that point on. Even though we didn't go score after he hit Brian and hit Jonah, we didn't go score because of the mistake down there. The field position flipped over, and that throw that he made to Brian was huge. And I'm not trying to redirect the question towards that point, but I thought just the throw that he made there was huge in flipping the field position for the rest of the fourth quarter.
Coach, if Art is, go ahead.
I'm good.
Sorry. What does it do for your unit when you guys have now consistently been pretty aggressive on fourth down to go for it? Do they feed off that?
I think so. I think Coach has really done a good job with us talking and practicing those things, and with me in particular, really challenging me to think forward about, hey, we knew that that our kicking situation was a little bit in flux going into the game, and he just said, hey, listen, when we're in this plus area, this 30, 40, whatever that area, that plus side of the field, you need to be thinking 4 downs, and he communicates that very clearly to me, and I knew what to expect after 3rd down, and we didn't make it, so I knew what call we were going to. So it allows us to practice and prep those things, and we celebrated that yesterday with our offense. Like we had 3 for 3, and all 3 of those 4th down conversions did lead to points and field goals, and which were a huge part of the game. So that's something that Coach has done a great job of directing us and talking to us about situational football, and putting me in a situation where, like, on 1st and 2nd down, I know that I have 4 downs, and that's changes your mindset as a play caller. When you have 4 downs to get it, it does certainly shifts your mindset on 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 7 to where, okay, look, if I can get a few here, then I'm putting us in a better situation on 4th down to be able to get a more manageable call.
If Art's the starter this week, who's your number 2? And how do you kind of ramp him up and get him ready?
Yeah, that's a great question. Ryan Johnson would be ready to roll. Actually this time last year, I think he told me he actually played in the Minnesota game and played a snap or 2, I believe. So Ryan prepares, and just like Art, they're like coaches is what they are. They prepare, and I think both of them have some interest in being a coach one day because they're like they're football junkies, and so I think Ryan would be the guy to be prepared to be in that role moving forward if that's the direction we go this week.
What does a week with Art, if Tommy can't go, like what does that do for you and him together?
Yeah, obviously whoever your starting quarterback is going in the game, you want to be able to have the week of the full preparation. Now, every conversation that I have is for all of them, right? It's not like we have one-on-one conversations about the guy that's the starter. So we like we all do in all of our rooms, we coach all the guys in our rooms with anticipation, next man up mentality. But if you do have a clearly defined role going into the game, then it does help you plan and prepare better to have a more focused learning on, hey, do you like this? Do you don't like that? You know, and also I know him, you know, I know each of those guys fairly well, even though I've been with them for a year. I know kind of what they're comfortable with and what they're not. And so to be able to build and manipulate the plan around each of those guys is obviously advantageous if you know going into the game.
Coach, what did it mean to you guys, your staff, your team, your coaches, to be ranked yesterday when you saw that ranking? It hasn't happened here in 11 years. I don't know if you were ranked last year, but what did it mean to you personally and to the staff?
Well, I don't think a lot of us had thought much about that.
Right.
But when it did come out, and obviously it did, I think everybody, had an appreciation for that. But I think also everybody understands that that's this week, and that was based on last week, and what we're ranked or not ranked, or what we did or didn't do last week has no bearing on what's coming up on Saturday. And so I would say, is that something that was at a point of pride? Yeah, certainly it would be. To be recognized for what our young men have done and the way our players have played through this part of the season, I think that's a positive thing. But I think everybody in our building knows and understands, even though that is something that is nice to be validated like that, it has no bearing on the outcome this coming Saturday.
With or without Isaiah Williams coming up Saturday, how much does that impact your game plan, and how much do you trust Hank Beatty to step into that role if needed?
Yeah, Hank Beatty and Miles both have been in there for us, and I don't have any qualms with either one of those guys knowing and understanding the game plan, and they have a different skill set. Yeah, certainly. But it's just, we got about a 6 or 7 man rotation going at wideout, and feel comfortable with all those guys that have earned the right to be in there. Certainly we'd prefer to have number 1 out there with us and what he brings to the offense, and we're hoping to be able to see that this Saturday, because he's certainly a huge part of what we're trying to do offensively.
Barry, you mentioned the throw to Hightower and maybe even the throw to Jonah Morris. As a play caller, if Art is getting in a rhythm like that, does that allow you to kind of open up and call some more things just because he's feeling good about how he's like back to back and how he's feeling?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it was, I in my mind, I made a decision once Tommy, and I think we all knew probably Tommy wasn't going to be back in after the way he went out, and talking to him early, the medical staff, I felt like it probably wasn't going to be a stretch for him to come back in. And we felt like the quality defense that we were playing, and how stingy they were in general, that it was really important for us just to stay within the confines of our plan, and just felt like at some point we would make a play or two in the passing game to help relax that stress on the box a little bit, and it was great for him to do that. He made some other plays too, but those were the 2 biggest ones that allowed, I think, infuse some confidence in himself. I think that's a tough situation to be thrust into. I mean, you hadn't played in a while. I mean, really significant minutes. You get thrust into a critical moment, a critical game with an intense environment against a high-quality defense, and I think all in all, he handled it pretty well, to be honest with you.
I know you talk about his preparation, but he's done this before. You kind of don't, why is he able to do that with his personality?
He's a different breed. He just really is. He's very unique in who he is, and you guys know him when you deal with him. I mean, he's incredibly mature and very polished, and just he gets it. I mean, he doesn't want to be the backup quarterback. I mean, he doesn't want to be the backup quarterback, but he never lets that. The fact that he is the 2, he never lets that affect his attitude, his intentionality, his engagement, his questions, his preparation. I mean, he's a pro. I mean, for being a college young man, and he's been around, he's had a lot of experience. I think that's part of it. He's seen it. I tell the young guys in the room all the time, the quarterbacks, I was like, hey, you young guys, and then we have 4 of them, I believe, that it's like, you guys you need to have an appreciation for the way these older guys prepare. For Art, Tommy, and Ryan, I was like, because it's not like that everywhere. It's not like the 2 and the 3 to be so supportive and engaged towards the starter and engaged towards me. I don't know how common that is across college football. I'm sure it happens some places, but it's not always like that. And those guys are special in that regard. And so Art just has that in him. It's innately in him, and I'm thankful that it is.
You have 2 games now in a row where Chase did get going in the third quarter. Any similarities between those 2?
Well, I mean, he's strong and conditioned. I think Tank's done a great job with our team, and he kind of is a microcosm of that. I mean, Chase is strong and lean, and he's gritty, and I think our line is getting better and better shape and playing better and better together too. So I think that the time you take those 2 things combined, we're playing a lot of plays. You know, we're on the field a lot. You know, I think we ran maybe 70 something plays the other night against Iowa, maybe 75. I can't remember, in the 70s. And so the more plays we play, the more plays defenses have to play and chase our receivers and chase. You know, that's just and chase. You know, and so I think all three of those things probably collectively have, you know, kind of gone into the ingredients of maybe his success in the third and fourth quarter.
You said after Indiana,
Last one here.
getting carries in the 30s for Chase is probably a little too high. At a similar number, it's the same feeling. I mean, obviously the game dictated getting him the ball, but do you have the
Yeah.
same feeling that maybe that was too many?
I think that's right on the threshold, you know, for him. It was great to see Reggie come in and make some critical plays for us. I mean, he made a couple of really nice runs, and one of the things we did in the study after the game was we felt like there was some, from a quarterback perspective, there was 2 or 3 like RPOs that we had that, you know, if we'd have just taken those that were presented, you know, that then all of a sudden now there was 3 less or 4 less carries. Now we're in the high 20s, you know. So I think we were targeted about right for the way the game unveiled. We want to go a whole lot much higher than that, but the way he was running, it was hard to, you know, not continue to see him run. And so
Thanks, guys.